Hello everyone, and welcome to the Reddit Railway. My name is Victor, and I'll be your driver. Today's destination is r/today I fucked up, so all aboard! Backstory: I'm the youngest of 5 children and we grew up in absolute poverty. Mum loved having kids but she didn't work and Dad didn't make enough to support everyone. We were so poor that I remember when I was 11 or 12, I received a single plastic slinky and was absolutely thrilled I got anything. Growing up with that kind of family was rough. My parents got divorced. Dad lived locally but didn't really do much to try and be a dad. He supported us financially when legally necessary, and he let slip once to me that he never wanted kids. He loved my mum and she wanted kids, so he went along with it. Obviously, with this kind of dynamic and the absolute lack of resources, home life wasn't great prior to the divorce. I was helping fix drywall at like 5 years old because we could only afford to live in crummy rundown houses. I remember stripping paint with a steamer and putty knife at about 6 or 7 and only learned recently that the house had lead paint. My oldest siblings did even more housework and probably inhaled a bunch of lead dust and toxic substances. Couple that with the emotional abuse of our parents and they didn't grow up to be good people. My oldest brother had anger issues and got kicked out of college for fighting people. He also got arrested a few times for stuff involving theft or violence. Oldest sister struggled with substance abuse, got arrested a few times and ended up being involuntarily committed for 72 hours once. She's doing a lot better nowadays but is still an unpleasant person. The next brother went on to be an employee at a large chain store where I think he might be a manager now. All 3 still live in the impoverished town we grew up in. My next sister and I are close enough in age that we're very similar. We both joined the military to escape the poverty trap of our hometown. I joined the army and she went to the Navy. While in the service, we pieced together a bunch of things about our siblings and parents that made everything clear. It was like we both had half of a connect the dots puzzle that made no sense. When put together, the outcome was a big sign that said, "Everyone in this family is awful." She confronted them about it after her contract ended and got kind of dragged into the drama all over again. She moved to a city near the hometown, about 1 hour away, and started working there. I cut everyone else out of my life. I hadn't spoken to most of them in years, and the others are cursory and obligatory in nature. After my contract ended, I started college using the GI Bill, which not only paid for my tuition, but also paid a monthly housing stipend so I could focus on school. My family fucking hated that I was basically getting free school. I couldn't explain that it meant giving up 4 years of my life for active duty, and I have to drill every month in the reserves. Also, part of my body is permanently wrecked. To them, it's an unfair advantage. While in school, I had a habit of buying a lottery ticket every month when the GI Bill hit my account. It was borderline superstitious, as I never had any notion of winning, because I remember a statistic once that said men in California have a higher chance of being Brad Pitt than actually winning the lottery. My final semester, I won. I didn't win fuck you money by any means. I won the type of money where you can pay cash for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with 0.36 acres in a county where housing prices were below the national average and have nothing left. Yes, it's that specific because that's what I did. I never told my family, including my cool older sister, because as much as I love her, she would almost be obligated to tell the rest of them. The purchase of that home happened when I was 25, so 11 years ago. Since then, I got married and had a kid and have an all-around nice and pleasant life. About a year ago, my oldest sister was going to be near where I lived for work, and she wanted to visit me so she could meet my daughter and catch up. Against my better judgment, I agreed because my wife wanted to know more about my family, who she never met. So my sister was staying with us for 3 days before she had to go do her work stuff. At one point during dinner on the second night, she asked what my mortgage must be like since she paid $900 in rent for something much smaller with no yard. My wife scoffed briefly, unaware that my family didn't know of my financial windfall. Sister, though a troubled individual, is no dummy and picked up on that. Her tone shifted from casual to serious and asked, "What does that mean?" I'm not great at lying, improv, or doing anything without excessive planning. I sat stupefied while trying to figure out what to say before my wife said, "Well, he used his winnings to just buy the house," thus setting off the chain reaction of questions that culminated with my sister finding out I made 6 digits for free while attending college for free and getting paid rent while not doing any fucking work. She was absolutely livid and left for a hotel. About 2 hours later, the phone calls began from every member of my family accusing me of cutting them off so I wouldn't have to share this gift from God. The sister I got along with even got angry at me for keeping it a secret, but she understood that it would have put her in a bad position of lying to the family. family. My phone, email, and wife's phone began blowing up for the next week while my family tried to get money from me, not understanding that there wasn't any left. They kept saying they're about to file for bankruptcy because of debt, that I could save them, but I'm just being selfish. After a week, lawyers got involved because they started threatening to sue me for damages for everything wrong in our family. They eventually did file. Every single thing that could have even remotely justified going to small claims court or a full lawsuit was brought up. They even added up an estimated amount of gas money I borrowed since I started to drive at 16 with verbal agreements to pay you back later, taking into account inflation and current gas prices. Everything they asked for in total would have been just short of buying another house in cash. I'm able to post about this now because 90% of it has been dropped for being absolutely ridiculous. A lot of their claims also occurred during a time when I had no contact with them. Thank you phone and email records. The remaining 10% of what they wanted was stuff that happened when I was 17 or 18, like denting one of their cars or injuring them when I threw an empty beer bottle during a fight and leaving a permanent scar from where the glass cut them. After lawyer and court fees plus paying damages, I lost a bit more than $10,000 to family. The stress from the legal battle affected me at work, and when it got out I was being sued by family after winning the lottery, all my co-workers began asking for money. It got so bad, people were coming to my home at night, that I had to request a transfer to a different branch where nobody knew me. Now I'm having to sell the house my daughter was growing up in and move to a more expensive city where the other branch is, all because I let my family back into my life. Yep, I'm not surprised by this outcome. I've read that many horror stories from people who've won the lottery or come into some kind of windfall. Money always brings out the worst in people, and since OP's family was the worst already, he was royally screwed. His older sister is an absolute bitch for exposing him like that. Although OP kind of brought this on himself. He knew how bad his family were, but let one of them back in anyway? Mate, if you're gonna go no contact with someone, stay no contact with them. Nonetheless, that lapse in judgment doesn't mean he deserves to lose his home, or his job, even if it is a transfer. Hopefully, wherever he ends up moving to, he'll be able to find a new and better life. Best of luck, OP. Anyway, we've come to the end of our journey. Thank you for traveling on the Reddit Railway, and we hope to see you again soon.